The morning settles gently over the park, the kind of quiet that feels earned. Sunlight filters through tall trees, landing softly on a stone fountain at the center of the path. Water flows in a slow, steady rhythm, familiar and calming. Joggers pass at a distance. A few birds gather at the edge. Nothing feels rushed. Nothing feels out of place. Near the fountain, a dog sits patiently. He doesn't pace. He doesn't bark. He simply waits. His posture is calm, almost deliberate, eyes fixed on the rippling water as if listening to something no one else can hear. From time to time, his ears lift, not at noise, but at memory. There's a quiet focus in him, a sense of purpose that feels gentle rather than urgent. A woman walking through the park slows her steps when she notices him. At first, she assumes he belongs to someone nearby. But minutes pass, and no one comes. The dog remains where he is, tail still, gaze steady, returning again and again to the fountain's edge. When the woman moves closer, he glances at her briefly, soft eyes, calm breath, then looks back to the water, as if reassuring her that everything is exactly where it should be. Something about the moment lingers. The way the dog waits. The way the fountain seems to matter to him. The woman feels a quiet pull of curiosity, mixed with a warmth she can't explain. This doesn't feel like loneliness. It feels like devotion. Other passersby begin to notice too. Some smile. Some pause. No one interrupts him. Because whatever brought this dog here, whatever memory keeps him returning to this place, is guiding him for a reason. And the meaning behind his waiting is more beautiful than anyone imagined. The park wakes slowly. Not all at once, but in layers. First, the light. It slips through the tall trees in soft bands, catching on leaves that barely move in the early air. The ground still holds the coolness of night. Dew rests on the grass, unbothered, untouched. Then the sound. Footsteps in the distance. A jogger's breath. Birds settling into their places. And at the center of it all, the fountain. Water spills gently over smooth stone, repeating the same quiet motion it has every morning for years. No rush. No change. Just rhythm. Beside it, a dog sits. He doesn't fidget. He doesn't scan the park for attention. He sits with purpose. His coat is clean but worn in the way of a dog who spends his days outside. Golden brown fur, slightly darker along his back, lighter around his chest and paws. His ears lift now and then, not at sound, but at something internal. Something remembered. He faces the fountain. Always the fountain. The water ripples, and his eyes follow the movement as if it's speaking to him. Not loudly. Not clearly. Just enough. A man passes by with headphones in, barely noticing him. A woman pushing a stroller glances over, smiles softly, and keeps walking. To them, he's just another dog enjoying the morning. But if they slowed down, if they stayed for more than a second, they might feel it. The stillness around him. The way the air seems to pause. A woman named Claire enters the park from the east path. She comes here often. Most mornings, actually. It's her quiet place before work. Her moment to breathe before the day asks things of her. She walks the same loop every time, passes the same benches, the same trees. She notices patterns. And today, she notices the dog. At first, she assumes he belongs to someone nearby. Maybe an owner tying a shoe. Maybe someone on a phone call. But she passes the fountain once, then again. The dog hasn't moved. Claire slows her steps. He isn't anxious. Isn't restless. He looks settled. She stops a few feet away, careful not to startle him. "Hey there," she says quietly. Her voice is gentle. Habitual. The kind of tone people use when they don't want to disturb something fragile. The dog turns his head. Just slightly. Their eyes meet for a moment. His gaze is calm. Open. There's no fear in it. No expectation either. Just awareness. Then he looks back to the fountain. As if to say, I'm where I need to be. Claire waits. She doesn't know why. Something in her tells her to stay quiet. To let the moment unfold without pushing it. The water splashes softly. Sunlight dances across the stone basin. Minutes pass. The dog's tail remains still, resting against the ground. His breathing is slow, steady. Every now and then, his ears lift, then relax again. Claire feels something stir in her chest. Not sadness. Not concern. Curiosity, mixed with warmth. She takes a cautious step closer. You waiting for someone? She asks, barely above a whisper. The dog doesn't respond the way dogs usually do. No head tilt. No wag. No alert posture. Instead, he shifts his weight slightly and leans closer to the fountain. The movement is small. Intentional. Claire notices it then. The way he positions himself. Always facing the same spot. Always watching the water spill from the same edge of stone. Like this place matters. Like this exact point in the park holds something important. She glances around, searching for clues. No leash. No collar. But he doesn't look lost. Lost dogs pace. They scan faces. They move with uncertainty. This dog waits. A breeze moves through the trees. Leaves whisper overhead. The morning grows brighter. More people pass by now. Some notice him. Some don't. One older man pauses briefly, hands in his jacket pockets. He's been here a while, the man says softly to Claire. Every morning? She asks. The man nods. As long as I can remember. The man walks on. Claire's curiosity deepens. She crouches down, careful to stay at the dog's side, not in front of him. Respecting his focus. Up close, she sees more. A faint gray around his muzzle. Scars that speak of a long life, not a hard one. Eyes that hold patience and memory. Do you have a name? She murmurs. The dog flicks an ear at the sound of her voice. Then, something changes. The fountain catches the light just right, sending a brighter reflection across the water. The sound shifts slightly as the flow adjusts. The dog's body tenses. Not in fear. In recognition. His chest rises with a deeper breath. His head lifts, eyes fixed, posture suddenly more alert but still calm. Like someone who has heard a familiar voice in a crowded room. Claire feels it. The shift in the air. She straightens slowly, heart beating just a little faster. What is it? She whispers. The dog doesn't look at her. He looks at the water. And for the first time, Claire understands. This isn't about waiting. It's about remembering. Whatever brought this dog to the fountain, whatever moment tied him to this place, is still alive inside him. And the memory guiding him here each morning has a meaning no one around him has yet discovered. The next morning, the park feels familiar again. The same pale light. The same quiet paths. The same fountain breathing softly at the center. And once more, the dog is there. He arrives before most people do. No one sees him enter. No one sees where he comes from. He simply appears, already seated beside the stone edge, body angled just right, eyes steady on the flowing water. As if the day doesn't truly begin until he does. Claire slows when she sees him. A small smile touches her face before she even realizes it. Something about his presence feels comforting, like a gentle anchor in the middle of a changing world. You're back, she says quietly. The dog doesn't turn right away. He waits, then glances at her, just long enough to acknowledge her voice. Recognition. Not excitement. Not surprise. Just calm acceptance. Claire stands beside him for a moment, hands tucked into her jacket pockets. She notices how he positions himself again, always the same spot, always the same angle. His front paws rest close to the fountain's edge, close enough to feel the cool mist when the breeze shifts. She watches the way his eyes follow the water. Not the birds. Not the people passing behind him. The water. She checks her watch. She has time. So she sits on the nearby bench. From here, she can observe without interrupting. She tells herself she's just curious, but there's more to it than that. There's something grounding about sharing the quiet with him. A young couple walks past, whispering. "Is that the same dog from yesterday?" the woman asks. "I think so," the man replies. "Kinda sweet." They keep walking. An older woman pauses longer. "He's beautiful," she says softly, almost to herself. "Yes," Claire agrees. "He really is." The woman smiles and continues on. The dog remains still. Minutes stretch. Then something subtle happens. The fountain's rhythm changes just slightly, as it always does when the internal cycle shifts. The sound deepens, the splash a touch stronger for a few seconds. The dog's ears lift. His body leans forward. Not much. Just enough. Claire notices. Her breath catches without warning. Because this feels intentional. Not coincidence. She leans closer to the fountain, listening. It's just water. Just stone. Just the ordinary sound of morning. But to the dog, it's something else. "Do you hear something?" she asks softly. The dog exhales through his nose, slow and calm. He doesn't need to hear. He remembers. A man approaches with a coffee in hand. He stops beside Claire. "Is he yours?" the man asks. "No," she says. "I don't think he belongs to anyone, at least not here." The man studies the dog for a moment. "He comes every day," he says. "Same time. Same place." "How long?" Claire asks. The man shrugs. "Longer than I've been coming here. Couple years, maybe." That lands gently, but deeply. Couple years. Every day. Claire looks back at the dog, her chest warming in a way she doesn't fully understand. "You ever seen him leave?" she asks. The man shakes his head. "Nope. Guess he just goes when he's ready." The man walks on. The idea settles in her mind. This dog has a routine. Not one forced by hunger or fear, but by meaning. She watches as the sun climbs higher, warming the stone around the fountain. The dog shifts once, adjusting his weight, then settles again. Always returning to stillness. At one point, a child breaks free from her mother's hand and runs toward the fountain. "Doggy," the girl calls. Her mother quickly follows, apologetic. "I'm so sorry." "It's okay," Claire says gently. The girl slows when she reaches the fountain, noticing the dog's calm posture. She crouches a few feet away, copying him. The dog glances at her. His eyes soften. He doesn't move away. The girl smiles. "He's waiting," she says with absolute certainty. "Waiting for what?" her mother asks. The girl shrugs. "For someone." The dog turns back to the fountain. Claire feels a quiet shiver, not from cold, but from recognition. Children sense things adults forget how to see. The mother gently pulls the girl back, and they walk on. Time passes. Claire checks her watch again. She should go. But leaving feels wrong. As if stepping away might break something delicate. Eventually, she stands. "I have to go," she says softly, unsure why she feels the need to explain herself. The dog doesn't look at her. But his tail moves once. A small, slow motion. Acknowledgement. "I'll see you tomorrow," she adds. She walks away slowly, glancing back once more. He hasn't moved. The next day, he's there again. And the next. Rain or shine. Cool morning or warm. Always the same. Claire begins to plan her mornings around him. Not because she feels responsible, but because she feels invited. She starts bringing a small bottle of water, setting it nearby without fuss. Sometimes he drinks. Sometimes he doesn't. She never tries to lead him away. Never tries to change his routine. She just sits. Listens. Watches. And over time, she notices something else. The dog doesn't just wait randomly. There's a window. A specific span of time when his focus deepens. When the fountain sound seems to hold him more tightly. When his posture straightens, and his breathing changes. As if he's bracing for something gentle. Something familiar. Something that once happened here, and still lives inside him. Claire feels it now, too. That this waiting isn't about the present. It's about a memory that refuses to fade. A memory the dog returns to not in sadness, but in quiet devotion. And slowly, without realizing it, Claire becomes part of that waiting. By the end of the week, the park feels different to Claire. Not because it's changed, but because she has. She no longer walks through the gate distracted by her thoughts or her phone. Her steps slow the moment she enters, her eyes already searching the familiar shapes of trees and benches. And always, the fountain. The dog is there again this morning, just as he has been every day. The sight of him brings a soft sense of relief, like confirming something important is still where it belongs. "Good morning," she says gently. This time, he looks at her right away. His tail moves once. Slow. Deliberate. It feels like progress. Claire settles onto the bench, the wood cool beneath her palms. She's learned not to rush these moments. Not to fill the silence. The quiet seems to matter to him. She watches more closely now. Not in a way that feels intrusive, but attentive. She notices how his ears shift not toward noise, but toward changes in the fountain's rhythm. How his posture straightens at almost the same time each morning. How his gaze fixes on a specific section of stone, worn smooth by years of water and hands. The details begin to form a pattern. A gentle one. Claire finds herself wondering about his life beyond the park. Where does he sleep? Who feeds him? Has anyone tried to take him home? She's tempted to ask around, but something stops her. This doesn't feel like a mystery that needs solving quickly. It feels like one that needs listening. A man in a maintenance uniform approaches the fountain, pushing a small cart. Claire tenses, worried the dog might be disturbed. But the man pauses when he sees him. "Hey, buddy," the man says warmly. The dog flicks an ear but doesn't move. "He always there?" Claire asks. The man nods. "Every morning. I work this park 3 days a week." He's part of the routine now. "You know anything about him?" she asks. The man thinks for a moment. Only that he's gentle. Never causes trouble. People tried to take him once, years ago. He came back the next day. That settles something inside her. "He came back," she repeats softly. The man smiles. "Yeah. Like this place calls him." The maintenance worker finishes his check and moves on, leaving the fountain untouched. The dog exhales, tension easing from his shoulders. Claire realizes she's been holding her breath. She lets it go. A few minutes later, an elderly man approaches slowly with a cane. He stops near the fountain and studies the dog with careful eyes. "Still waiting," the man murmurs. The dog lifts his head. Their eyes meet. Recognition passes between them, not familiarity, but understanding. The man sits heavily on the edge of a bench nearby. "I remember when you weren't alone," he says softly. Claire's heart stirs. She doesn't interrupt. The old man looks at her briefly. "He used to come here with someone." Her breath catches. "Who?" she asks, barely above a whisper. The man shakes his head. "Been a long time. But they sat right there." He points to the edge of the fountain. "Every morning." The dog's posture changes. Just slightly. Closer. The man's voice trembles, but not with sadness. With peace, he says. That's what it felt like. Peace. The man stands slowly and continues on his walk, leaving his words behind like something precious. Claire turns back to the dog. You came with someone, she says quietly. The dog doesn't respond the way people expect animals to. He doesn't whine. He doesn't lower his head. He simply sits and watches the water. But his breathing has changed. Deeper. Slower. As if the memory has surfaced. Claire feels the weight of it now. This isn't about abandonment. This is about devotion. A shared ritual that didn't end when one of them could no longer come. She finds herself speaking without planning to. You must really love them. The dog turns to her then. Holds her gaze longer than before. His eyes are clear. Not sad. Full. Something passes between them in that moment. Not understanding, but connection. From that day on, Claire begins to notice how other people react too. Some sit nearby longer than planned. Some speak softly without knowing why. Some simply watch and leave feeling lighter. The dog never seeks attention. He allows it. In his own quiet way. Claire starts bringing a small notebook with her, not to write facts, but impressions. Little observations she doesn't want to forget. He waits like someone listening for a familiar step. The water feels like a voice to him. This place holds a promise. One morning, as she's writing, the dog stands. Her heart jumps. This is new. He steps closer to the fountain, places one paw on the stone edge, and leans forward slightly. The water splashes against his paw. He doesn't pull away. Instead, he closes his eyes. Claire's chest tightens. This isn't curiosity. This is remembering. The moment lasts only seconds. Then he steps back and sits again. Claire lowers her notebook, hands trembling just a little. What happened here? She whispers. The dog doesn't answer. But the air feels heavier now, not with sorrow. With meaning. Claire realizes something important. This story doesn't belong to her. She isn't meant to uncover it quickly. She's meant to witness it. To be present. To let the truth reveal itself in its own time. And as the fountain continues its gentle song, she knows. Whatever the dog is waiting for isn't gone. It's simply changed shape. The mornings begin to blur together in the best possible way. Same park. Same fountain. Same quiet companionship. Claire no longer questions why she comes early. It feels natural now, like a small promise she keeps without effort. The dog is always there before her, already settled, already waiting. She sits closer these days. Not close enough to intrude. But close enough to share the space. Sometimes she speaks. Sometimes she doesn't. The dog seems comfortable either way. One morning, the air carries a faint chill. Claire pulls her jacket tighter as she sits on the edge of the bench. The dog glances at her, then shifts slightly, moving just enough to catch more sunlight. It's a small thing. But it feels thoughtful. Thank you, she murmurs, smiling at the absurdity of thanking a dog for sharing the sun. He closes his eyes briefly, as if accepting the moment. Over time, Claire notices how the dog responds to her presence. Not with excitement, but with allowance. When she sits, he relaxes more quickly. When she stands, he watches, but doesn't follow. They've found a rhythm. A quiet understanding. One morning, she brings a soft cloth and gently wipes the stone bench before sitting. Without thinking, she offers the cloth to the dog, holding it out without forcing it. He leans forward. Sniffs. Then presses his nose lightly against it, leaving a faint mark of moisture before pulling back. Claire laughs softly. Guess that's yours now. She folds the cloth and sets it beside him. He doesn't move it. But he doesn't ignore it either. It becomes part of the scene. People begin to notice them together. Not in a way that feels invasive. More like recognition. A woman passing by whispers to her friend, "They look like they belong there." Claire hears it. It warms her. She starts to bring a small thermos of tea, sipping slowly as she watches the water flow. Occasionally, she hums under her breath, nothing recognizable, just sound. The dog's ears flick when she does. Not alert. Comforted. One morning, a light rain falls. Most people stay away, but Claire comes anyway, umbrella tucked under her arm. The dog is there, his fur dotted with rain, posture unchanged. She hesitates. "Do you want to move under the trees?" she asks softly. He looks at her. Then at the fountain. He stays. So does she. They sit together in the drizzle, water blending with water, the park hushed in a way that feels sacred. Claire doesn't mind the dampness. She feels oddly peaceful. This is where he needs to be. This is where she wants to be. The bond forms without ceremony. No grand gesture. No dramatic moment. Just presence. One morning, something shifts. Claire arrives to find the dog standing instead of sitting. He paces slowly near the fountain, movements deliberate but restless in a way she hasn't seen before. "Hey," she says quietly. "You okay?" He glances at her, then back to the water. The fountain sound seems louder today. More insistent. The dog stops pacing and sits again, but closer to the edge than usual. Claire feels it. The tension. Not fear. Anticipation. She sits beside him, heart beating just a little faster. They wait together. Minutes pass. Then, from the far end of the path, an older woman approaches. She walks slowly, her steps careful, her gaze lowered. As she nears the fountain, the dog's posture changes. His ears lift. His body stills. Claire watches closely. The woman stops several feet away, noticing the dog. Her breath catches. Her hand moves to her chest. "Oh," she whispers. The dog looks at her. Just for a moment. Then he looks back to the fountain. The woman stands there, eyes wet but smiling. "I remember you," she says softly. Claire doesn't move. The dog remains calm, but something in the air vibrates gently, like a string pulled just tight enough. The woman doesn't approach closer. She doesn't interrupt. She simply watches. Then nods to herself. "He's still waiting," she murmurs. Claire finally speaks. "You know him?" The woman smiles at her. "I knew the one who sat with him," she says. "Every morning. Same spot." Claire's breath catches again. "They love this place," the woman continues. "Said the fountain made the world slow down." The dog exhales deeply, shoulders relaxing. The woman wipes her eyes and steps back. "Thank you," she says, to no one in particular. She walks away, leaving the air warmer than before. Claire turns to the dog. "You remember," she says quietly. He doesn't look at her. But his tail moves once. Slow. Gentle. A sign of peace. Claire understands something now. She isn't replacing anyone. She isn't intruding on a memory. She's been invited into it. This bond, this quiet companionship, isn't about ownership. It's about shared stillness, shared waiting, and in that shared space, something healing is unfolding. The mornings grow softer as the season shifts. Light lingers a little longer now, warming the stone of the fountain earlier each day. The park carries a gentle hum, still quiet, but alive in a way Claire feels in her chest. She arrives to find the dog already there. Of course he is. Today, he sits closer to the fountain than usual, his body angled inward, almost protective of the space. His eyes follow the water with deeper focus, as if the sound is speaking more clearly than before. Claire sits beside him without a word. She's learned that silence matters here. They listen together. The fountain's rhythm changes again, subtle, but present. A slightly fuller flow. A different echo against the stone. The dog responds instantly. His ears lift. His breathing slows. His head tilts just enough to expose his throat to the morning light. Claire feels the moment tighten. This is one of those mornings. She doesn't know how she knows. She just does. She watches him closely now, noticing things she hadn't before. The way his front paws rest on the same worn patch of stone. The way his gaze returns again and again to a faint scratch near the fountain's edge. The way his body aligns as if remembering how someone once sat beside him. She follows his eyes. There, on the stone, barely visible unless you're looking for it, are markings. Not graffiti. Not damage. Finger-worn lines. The kind left behind by years of resting hands. Claire's throat tightens. You sat here, she whispers. Together. The dog doesn't react outwardly. But his tail shifts. Just slightly. Claire leans closer to the fountain, resting her own hand where the stone is smoothest. The surface is warm now, sun-soaked, comforting. She closes her eyes. And suddenly, she can picture it. A person sitting here every morning. A hand resting on this exact spot. A voice speaking quietly, maybe not to the dog, maybe just to the world. She opens her eyes to find the dog watching her. Really watching her. Not through her, but at her. His gaze holds something tender. Something grateful. She swallows. You don't want to forget, she says softly. The dog turns back to the fountain. But his posture eases. As if she's said the right thing. A man walking by slows when he notices them. He pauses, studying the fountain, then the dog. I remember seeing them, he says unexpectedly. Claire looks up. They came here every morning, the man continues. Rain or shine. The man, he used to sit right there. He points to the smooth stone. The dog's ears lift. The man smiles gently. He talked to the dog like he was the only one listening. Claire's chest tightens. What happened? She asks. The man hesitates. He got sick, he says quietly. Didn't come one morning, then another. Eventually, he never came back. The words settle slowly. Not heavy. Just real. The man continues walking, leaving his truth behind. Claire looks at the dog again. He hasn't moved. But his breathing has changed. Deeper. Measured. She reaches out, not to touch him, but to place her hand closer than before. He shifts. Not away. Toward her. Their shoulders brush lightly. Claire inhales sharply. This feels like permission. Not ownership. But trust. She sits like that for a long time, letting the memory exist without trying to fix it. The fountain keeps flowing. The dog keeps watching. At one point, the water splashes just a little higher, mist catching the sunlight. The dog leans forward, eyes bright. Claire follows his gaze. In the reflection. Just for a moment. She sees something different. Not a person. But the feeling of one. The sense of presence. The way a place can hold love long after footsteps fade. The dog closes his eyes. And when he opens them again, his posture is calmer. Lighter. Claire realizes then. This isn't a vigil. It's a conversation. One that never really ended. The dog returns each morning not to wait for something lost, but to remember something that still lives here. And now, slowly, carefully, he's letting someone else hear it too. That morning feels different before Claire even reaches the fountain. The air is warmer. The light softer. As if the day itself is moving more slowly. She sees the dog from a distance. He isn't sitting. He's standing at the fountain's edge, posture alert but calm, eyes fixed on the flowing water with a focus she's never seen before. Claire's steps slow. Her heart begins to beat a little faster, not from worry, from anticipation. She approaches quietly. "Hey," she says, barely above a breath. The dog doesn't turn. His body remains still, grounded, as if he's listening for something that hasn't arrived yet, but will. Claire sits beside him on the stone edge instead of the bench. This feels right today. The fountain's sound deepens again. The water shifts in its cycle, flowing more steadily now, creating a fuller echo that resonates through the open space. The dog exhales. Long, slow. Then, he does something new. He lowers himself onto the stone beside the fountain. Not sitting. Lying down. His body curves along the edge, chest pressed to the warm surface, head resting near the water. His eyes remain open, soft, attentive. Claire's throat tightens. This isn't waiting anymore. This is closeness. She mirrors him without thinking, sitting lower, closer to the water, her palm resting on the smooth stone beside his head. She doesn't touch him. She doesn't need to. The fountain's reflection dances across the surface, light shifting in gentle waves. Claire watches as the dog's eyes follow the movement, slowly, peacefully. A memory unfolds without words. She can almost see it now. A man sitting here. Morning after morning. Talking softly. Listening longer than he spoke. The dog beside him. Not needing commands. Just presence. Claire's eyes sting. She doesn't fight it. The dog senses the shift. His breathing matches hers. In, out. In, out. For a moment, the park seems to disappear. There's only the fountain. The water. The shared stillness. Then, quietly, the dog lifts his head and turns it toward Claire. Their eyes meet. Really meet. And in that gaze, she understands. This place isn't holding grief. It's holding gratitude. The dog isn't stuck in the past. He's honoring it. She swallows. You don't come here because you're lonely, she whispers. You come because you were loved. The dog's tail moves once. A slow, gentle sweep against the stone. Claire lets out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Something releases. The tension she's felt since the first day loosens, dissolving into warmth. The dog settles again, eyes half closed now, posture peaceful in a way that feels complete. People pass by. Some slow. Some watch. No one interrupts. Because this moment feels finished, whole. Claire stays until the fountain's rhythm shifts back, until the light climbs higher and the park begins to fill. Finally, the dog stands. He stretches slowly, deliberately. Then, without hesitation, he turns away from the fountain. Claire's breath catches. This has never happened before. He takes a few steps down the path. Then stops. Looks back at her. Not urgently. Invitingly. Claire stands, heart pounding softly. She takes one step, then another. The dog waits. Just long enough. Then he walks on. Not leaving the fountain behind, but carrying it with him. Claire follows. And in that quiet movement, she knows. Something has shifted. The waiting has changed. The memory has been honored. And whatever comes next, will be guided by the same gentle love that brought him here every morning. They don't go far. Just a short distance down the path, where the trees thin and the sunlight opens up into a wide, quiet clearing. The dog stops beneath a maple whose branches stretch outward like open arms. He sits. Claire stops too. Her heart is still beating a little faster than usual, not from fear, but from the feeling that something important is about to settle into place. She looks back toward the fountain. It's still there. Still flowing. Still holding its rhythm. But the pull feels different now. The dog glances at the tree, then back at her. Claire follows his gaze. At first, she doesn't see anything unusual. Then she notices it. A small metal plaque, low to the ground, partially hidden by grass. She steps closer. The dog remains seated, calm, watching. Claire kneels, brushing away a few fallen leaves. The plaque is simple. Weathered. Clearly placed with care, not ceremony. It reads, "In memory of Thomas Reed, who found peace here every morning." Claire's breath catches. Not sharply. Softly. She sits back on her heels, the weight of understanding settling over her like a warm blanket. "This is where you came from," she whispers. "Not just the fountain, but him." The dog lowers his head slightly, as if acknowledging the name. Claire's eyes drift back to the fountain, then to the smooth stone, the worn marks, the reflections in the water. She sees it clearly now. Thomas sitting by the fountain every morning. Talking about the weather. About nothing. About everything. The dog beside him listening without judgment, without interruption. A ritual built from quiet companionship. A way to start the day together. When Thomas could no longer come, the dog kept the promise. Claire sits beside the dog beneath the tree. "He didn't leave you," she says softly. "He just trusted you to remember." The dog exhales, long and slow. The tension Claire hadn't realized was still there finally fades. This wasn't a story about loss. It was about continuity. Love that didn't disappear when one person was gone, but changed shape. People begin to pass through the clearing now. A jogger slows, noticing the plaque. A couple stops briefly, reading it in silence. No one speaks. They don't need to. The dog stands, walks over to the plaque, and sits beside it just for a moment. Not lingering. Acknowledging. Then he returns to Claire. She feels tears slip free, not heavy, not overwhelming. Grateful tears. "You kept him alive," she says quietly. "In the best way." The dog's tail moves once. That gentle, familiar motion. Claire understands now why the dog followed her today. Not to leave the fountain behind, but to show her the whole story. The fountain was the memory. This place was the truth. And now that the truth has been shared, the ritual no longer needs guarding. It can simply be carried. Claire stands slowly. "So what now?" she asks softly. The dog looks toward the path leading out of the park. Then back at her. The invitation is there again. But this time, it feels lighter. Not urgent. Just open. The story has reached its understanding. And what remains is choice. They return to the fountain one last time. Not because they have to, but because it feels right. The dog sits where he always has, posture relaxed, eyes soft. The water flows as steadily as ever, sunlight scattering across the surface in quiet patterns. Claire sits beside him. Neither of them rushes. There's no need. The memory has been honored. The promise kept. For a long moment, they simply listen. Then, without ceremony, the dog stands. He turns away from the fountain. And this time, he doesn't look back. Claire rises slowly, heart full in a way she hasn't felt in a long time. She follows him down the path, past the benches, past the familiar trees. At the park's edge, he stops. A woman approaches, middle-aged, calm-eyed, carrying a leash in her hand. She pauses when she sees the dog, her expression softening with recognition. "There you are," she says gently. The dog looks at her. His tail moves once. Claire feels a quiet understanding pass between them. "He's been waiting," the woman says to Claire. "For a long time." Claire nods. "I think he's ready now." The woman clips the leash on without pulling, without hurry. The dog steps forward willingly. Before they leave, he turns back. Just once. Not toward the fountain, but toward Claire. Their eyes meet. No sadness. No uncertainty. Only warmth. Thank you, Claire whispers. The woman smiles. Thank you for sitting with him. They walk away together, the leash slack between them, moving at the dog's pace. Claire remains standing at the gate for a moment, watching until they disappear down the sidewalk. Then she turns back toward the park. The fountain continues its gentle song. But something has changed. The space feels lighter. Complete. Claire sits on the bench one last time before heading to work. She closes her eyes, listening to the water, feeling the warmth of the sun. She understands now. Some memories don't ask to be held forever. They ask to be witnessed, then released. And sometimes, when love is given enough time and patience, it finds a new way forward.